Namaste, Galactic Family, and welcome back to my channel, Indigo Angel. Welcome if you're new, and if you're returning, don't forget to hit the notifications bell. And as always, thank you for your continued love and support of my channel. Today I have a planetary grid and energy update for galaxy seeds and star seeds pertaining particularly to Lyran and Andromedan planetary stargates and radial encryptions, activating radial encryptions. We're currently bringing online some dormant pylon grid formations, which are releasing several Jehovian planetary encodements. So this is my map that I charted up for this video today. I am going to go through what each thing means and why it's on here. This 30-degree north horizontal ley line, and then also this dove pylon grid as well. So I'm going to go through all of that in more detail. The planetary Sophia energy is bringing forth 3 generating avian grids. So we have the dove, and then we also have the phoenix and the falcon, and these are all generating through the 30-degree northern horizontal ley line, which is a masculine ley line. This ley line particularly runs patriarchal currents. Okay, so also the falcon. So we have the falcon grid. The falcon generates to the phoenix, and the phoenix generates to the dove. The dove is located over North America. And these are considered the Jehovian grids. These are east to west flowing currents generated from global angular feminine ley lines. So you can almost think of the angular feminine ley lines as the subharmonics. They are the true initiators to the actual Stargate functioning, kind of like the primary generator. So like I said, over North America, you can see here that I have the dove grid. Now the dove grid does intersect with the planetary J seals all along the 70 west and 33-degree north latitudinal line and south latitudinal line. And this is my own original artwork here of this dove grid over North America. So let's be nice here. It's not the best, but oh well, you guys know what I was trying to make here. But this dove grid is actually in the Book of Knowledge in the Keys of Enoch. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Nazama and Shizar for providing me with a better picture than the one I clearly drew over North America here. Now, this dove head is actually, it's over Texas, and then the wings go up to Maine, and then they also go up into Canada, partly into Canada. So it covers most of the North America. I also have 4 other locations charted here today, and that is going to be Abaddon, Iran. This is gate site 10. This is considered a Lyran Stargate activation. It is connected to the Phoenix grid, and right now, currently, Jupiter is aligned to Vega. So planetarily, we would be bringing in those generating currents from Jupiter. Also, we have grid site 4, Giza, Egypt. Okay, grid site 4, Giza, Egypt. And this is a solar universal Stargate site. This is also an occult gate site. This is Regulus, Draco, and Anunnaki. It can be considered Jehovian Anunnaki, Pleiadian, Nibirian Anunnaki, and Draconian Anunnaki. This connects into the Falcon grid, the Phoenix grid, and the Dove grid. Also, we have Stargate Site 9 in Tibet. Okay. And Tibet, this is an Andromedan Stargate activation. This is important because this Stargate site pulls heavy currents from the Amenti sphere or the IM-10, which is simply the conscious awareness of the retraction to the DNA molecule, whether that's biological or planetarily, also retraction and conscious awareness of the genetic brain. And hyperdimensional portal structures opening within the major cosmic gateways. This particular Stargate system actually takes you into another universal galactic system, which is Andromeda. So this is a major crystalline upgrade here. This is probably carrying most of the Sophia currents that are generating along this ley line. It's like a receiver station of that Sophia energy. So it's just another portal structure. It's a major crystalline upgrade. It's also heightened plasma charge Stargate, so heightened plasma awareness there. Venus and Neptune are currently aligned to Andromeda. So I know, I believe it was the night of the 28th, you could look into the sky. You could very much probably still see Venus and Andromeda right now, actually, if you look in the sky. So Venus and Neptune currently are aligned to Andromeda. Mercury is heading into Pegasi. So Pegasi is representing the horsemen. The horsemen are the four horsemen in the seven seals and Revelations, also in the seven Jehovian seals. And the transition that the Sun and Mercury are going to be heading into Pegasi. So we're going to have a lot of Andromeda activations. Andromeda, Pegasi, Andromeda, and Fomalhaut. Part of Pegasi is also in Andromeda. They share stars in these constellations. So I think Merak is the star that is within Pegasi, and then also Andromeda. So we're heavily receiving Andromeda Stargate activations at this time. Then I have Mount Olives. This is important because this is right next to Golgatha in Jerusalem, the physical planetary location of the crucifixion of Christ. So this is important because these locations do hold a charged plasma memory field in the land. And as these currents do send direct transmissions to the blocked seals on Earth. So it's like these Stargate sites are opening and generating more quantum energy, more planetary quantum. And it's an east to west current that is being sent to this part of the map or part of the grid system of the planet, the crystalline grid. And they generate these currents into this intersection point. So you can see here, JCL 5 and the Bermuda sit slightly south of the intersection point of the longitudinal line that the J seals run on, intersecting the 30-degree north horizontal ley line. Okay, so that's important because this is where this energy is generating from. And there are actually two black phantom matrix wormholes that reside right beneath here as well. So this is a huge area for siphoning, I guess, Christed frequency into the phantom matrix. So these current activations are going to be releasing a lot of the strongholds that are on the templars. It's going to be creating greater transparency of the crucifixion implants, particularly the templar collectives that hold the J seals, because not all templars hold the J seals. Okay, so it kind of depends what you resonate with, like on a genetic level, on a spiritual level. The J seal being the implants placed to hold the pins of the phantom grid, so to speak. Yeah, exactly. Like I really think of these as like pins that are just nailed into the cross, that hold down these other artificial systems. these other false systems, technically, that are feeding the phantom matrix. Okay, so as we come into this activation, because this is going to be an activation that is planetarily strongholding the grid sites up until April, up until the resurrection of Christ, up until the planetary second coming of Christ prevails. So this is going to be demolitioning a lot of these outdated grid structures that are holding these distortions. So more is going to be coming up, more is going to be becoming visible. You might be spiritually, as we planetarily receive these crucifixion implants, you might be receiving visions of the golden crown of thorns, the 5 wounds that the nails were inserted to fix Jesus to the cross, the beam of the cross on which he was crucified. You may be even receiving like whips on your back. I kept seeing the lashing of the whips. Also metaphysically to the 7 seals in Revelation. So you might just be having a calling to have a clearing or a release of these distortions. You might also be receiving transmissions of the second coming of Christ, Atlantis rising, return of the white dove, and awakening of the American starseed. And that this Jehovian dove grid is going to have a lot to do with the awakening of that American starseed. So it's highly affecting the planet's crystal grid system. And like I said, this is going to be generating over up until about April. All of these things I just listed, these are all spiritual projections and archaic collective entities of the Jehovian grids that they seem to link in, and then they generate one another. They generate this revelation, or this, for some, it will be an apocalyptic experience as well. So there will be some that are on that collective wave of the apocalyptic experience, and those who will be going through a revelation. So we also have, Saturn and Pluto in conjunction. Those are going to be in Aquila currently, and they will move into Cygnus soon. We have Uranus and Taurus at 2 degrees, and this is considered within the Pleiadian markers, all according to Indian sidereal lunar mansions degrees, which is the foundation to the methodology that I prefer to look at, because I do feel it's most in alignment to the 13-20 degree markers, which I have been shown align to the closest original Earth template. And of course, we do have the North planetary node in Sirius, Cancer at 6 degrees Cancer. So that's going to be Sirius as well. So these new codes are dismantling the internal templars. And this is happening biologically, this is happening planetarily. The sephiras, or the realms or worlds which are withheld within these idealisms, or within the sciences of these ideas, and within the universal trees of biological and planetary life, for each individual gridding system to have to work through this dismantling and this new encodement. So this may look more like more perceivable transparency and higher matter density existences and experiences, also heightened interrupted plasma transmissions. So you might be receiving some interference. You may also be experiencing like third-party interference as these particular grids, the dove grid demolitions, the distortions in these particular grid structures. This also is going to awaken the entire networking system overall, all running on the 30-degree horizontal ley line north currents running east. And this, like I said, this is the true grid that does feed the Bermuda Triangle wormholes, the phantom matrix. These accelerate the descending areas to capture beings for excessive mind control and controlling of the DNA. And this will rip and tear in the space-time fabric. And the Phoenix grid does run 4th through 7th dimensional intersections, and this links into Giza. This links into Giza and the Iran Gate. Okay, so these particular areas are also where we hold the most planetary unhealed collective trauma. So this is very important. All this unhealed collective trauma is in the Jehovian grid networks. that is who holds it on the planet. That's who carries in their Merkaba spin fields, and it is the majority on the planet. And it's where the cataclysmic events get recorded in the land masses, and then these run these currents into these other Stargate sites. This also runs currents back into Stonehenge as well. So the trauma gets recycled back into the eternal spiral for us all to work through collectively. What I do find interesting, though, is the 30-degree north horizontal ley line does run through Abadan, Iran, and then it runs through Golgatha, Jerusalem. Okay, so this is Golgatha, Jerusalem here. And that's the place where Jesus was crucified. That then runs through Giza, Egypt, and through J Seal 5. This seal is symbolic to the 5 wounds of Christ. Okay. That's the Bermuda Triangle. This is J Seal 5. And this does hold those symbologies to those 5 wounds of Christ. Now, the dove grid has 7 crucifixion implants, or what are called the 7 Jehovian seals. I did just create a J-seal removal, self-removal system that I did put on my Patreon. So if you are interested in that, you can go to patreon.com/indigoangel. It's only $11.11 a month. You can have access to these techniques to uninstall the J-seals. And I also give a very thorough description and explanation of what the J-seals are on my Patreon. But essentially, you can see that the dove grid is over North America, primarily where 6 out of the 7 seals are held. Okay, so the 7th seal being held in South America. The 7 J seals are metaphysical to the 7 seals in Revelation. So the 4 horsemen, red, black, white, and pale, the martyr, the calling of the angels, and the 7 trumpets. And they are all equally metaphysically related to the planetary seals. So because these seals are biological and planetarily designed, the planetary seals are huge. This is very important because these are huge pylon selenite rods. Each one of these locations are huge pylon selenite rods that act as the anchors for all networks, for all pylon grid systems. And they are seated at these locations into the Earth's grids at selected points down the coast of East America. Now, the east side of America is the feminine side because there is no volcanic activity over here. All volcanoes are on the west coast because it connects into the South Pacific, which is the Ring of Fire, which is all along the tectonic plates. But that is considered the masculine side, which is interesting because honestly, I'm getting a lot of reverse information. I keep thinking that the Pacific is feminine and the Atlantic is masculine. But because of the volcanoes, it's considered masculine because the fire is supposed to be a masculine quality. And the coast of the Atlantic, particularly the landmass between Mississippi and the Atlantic, that's going to be the most feminine, vulnerable land. And it bears the most emotional trauma stored in the cellular memory of the land. So this particular grid cannot activate trumpet technology until the Phoenix grid is fully functional. Then it manifests as hyperdimensional scalar waves within the rods, or what are the Jehovian seals. So that's why, if you really start getting in and researching it, and that's why I have these little coins here, is because that's why a lot of UFO activity in this area, there's also going to be a lot of heightened invisible and cloaking device technology that has been used here. There was the Philadelphia experiment. This went down here in the U.S. Navy shipyard, where they were using large electrical generators to bend light around the ships via refraction to make the ships invisible. And it supposedly got like a lot of sailors killed because of this, but this is like all, you know, conspiracy theory stuff, cover up stuff. Also, here there is going to be a lot of heightened city bankruptcies as well. So it's very interesting. But Detroit, you know, it's the largest city that filed bankruptcy, and that's here. And that's also where they keep the statue of Baphomet as well. So I just found that really interesting, that all of that's kind of residing by the Jehovian J Seals. The bankruptcy, though, is what I feel is most interesting. This is the process of the United States national deterioration. And this might actually continue to deteriorate and generate from these planetary seals. That's why it's important when you do your Jehovian J seal removal that you do focus on the planetary portion of it. Also, some other places that bankrupt were Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and Folkston, Georgia. Okay, so these are cities that are no longer just viable major cities, and they have been gutted of all major corporations, clean drinking water, and city services. You know, but these empires, they're built on the creation of acquisition of wealth, all of these cities. So each little city is an empire. And if they follow some type of domino effect, particularly on this side, that the U.S. might be on the verge of relinquishing its imperial crown. And it's all generating from these particular sites that are still very much exacerbating the planetary grids. Okay, guys, so this is what I had for you today. And I haven't been able to post for a little while. I've been just really busy. It really took a lot to design the JCL removal techniques. And so I do feel that is all aligning perfectly, divinely, synchronistically, planetarily to the planetary events. Yeah, check out my Patreon, patreon.com/indigo angel, if you would like to check out my J-seal removal technique. And I will be back with some starseed energy readings, particularly pertaining to the Stargate locations that are activating at this time. Okay, guys, so if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next video. Namaste and have a beautiful rest of your day.